In this video, I'm going to show you 8 super effective remedies that we can use to help us deal with our toddlers' temper tantrums. I'm excited about this video because I know it's a big topic for us parents. Temper tantrums can be super stressful, hard to navigate. I think there's some of us who would even avoid leaving the house just to avoid having to face and deal with temper tantrums. We would rather, not have any milk in the fridge or not have any, much needed chocolate after a rough day, just so we can avoid having to go out and deal with potential temper tantrums. But with these 8 tools that are super easy and actually quite fun to implement, you're going to feel a lot more confident and a lot more at ease when dealing with temper tantrums. And you may even likely, which is the whole objective here, prohibit and stop temper tantrums even happening. So stay tuned, it's going to be super cool. So hi, I'm Christine, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and joining me on here. I really would love for you to consider subscribing if you haven't already, because in this channel we share all amazing tips and tricks and strategies that we can use to raise happy and confident children, and to also enable us to enjoy our parenting journey even more. And it's also all about how we can embody conscious parenting in our life. Alrighty, so let's go into it. What are these 8 strategies that I'm going to share with you to help you effectively deal with temper tantrums? Well, these 8 tips or strategies are very relevant for your child, hence toddler, if they're age 2 and up. But you can, if your child is younger and facing some, not exactly tantrums, but they're just about to hit those moments where they get a little bit emotional. But they're not quite 2 years old, you can tailor these tips to your child. Alright, so just bear that in mind as you're listening to them, because they can be relevant for you. Just make a couple of tweaks, because obviously it does require your child to be able to communicate at a certain level, but you can tweak them. Alright, so the first tip I want to share with you is to get into what I like to call Zen mode. Yes, Zen mode. Now, I don't mean you need to become a Buddha, but I want you to prepare yourself mentally before you leave the house with your toddler, especially if you know it's going to be a long trip, it's going to be a long day. Even if it isn't, if you know that your child is prone to temper tantrums, I want you to prepare yourself mentally, because when we don't do that and then a tantrum erupts, it can cause us to feel even more anxious, even more stressed, and even more fired up, which only makes the situation worse when it does happen. But if we can prepare ourselves mentally and make ourselves more flexible, then it could be a lot more enjoyable experience, and we could feel like we're more in control. So how do we do that? Well, all I want you to do is just say to yourself, right, I'm going to prepare myself for this trip. Potentially there could be a temper tantrum, but it's okay. I'm willing to be flexible and stay as calm as I can. So you're literally just cheering yourself on and getting yourself in that frame of mind, and allowing yourself and your child to be flexible and to show up however they need to show up, and show up however you need to show up, and just to prepare yourself. It's like, for example, when you're preparing for a test, you wouldn't just necessarily go there feeling like panicked and anxious. Well, you would, but you wouldn't go there without a pen or a pencil case or some paper, whatever you need. You would come with a level of preparation, and you would come with a level of mental preparation as well. Despite being maybe anxious or nervous, you would try to calm yourself down. This is the same thing with going out and dealing with possible temper tantrums. You want to get yourself calm. So do whatever it is that makes you feel relaxed. If that means doing 5 minutes of meditation, or 2 minutes of deep breathing, or listening to some music that you enjoy and that helps you relax, whatever that works for you, do it. And you don't have to spend long on it. Just get yourself feeling relaxed and positive. Alright, so tip number 2 is to role play. Oh yeah, role play with your toddler. So this will really help set the scene and prepare your child for their trip, because they also need some preparation. So let them know what's going to be happening for the day. So you'll say to them, look, we're gonna go out, we're gonna do some shopping. What do we do when we go shopping? And then your child will respond, and then you'll say, okay, so mommy's gonna pick some items, and you probably show your child what you're gonna be picking, maybe show them images of what the items look like get them excited and kind of act it out at home, just to get them prepared with what to expect and get them excited about it and feeling calm as well. So that's enabling them to prepare for the journey as well. Because when your child is just following you and doesn't necessarily know what's going on, what can trigger a tantrum is boredom, you know, kind of like this disorganization, because they feel like they're just being dragged somewhere they don't necessarily want to be. So those can trigger tantrums. But if you can give them a good picture of what it is that they'll be doing and why they're going shopping. So mommy's going out to buy some milk so that I can make you some porridge, or we're gonna go do a bit of shopping so I can make you your favorite dinner. Just get them excited, get them prepared for that journey, and they're gonna feel more at ease as well and ready to participate with you. All right, so tip number 3 is I want you to go on an adventure with them. Go on an adventure with them and make it interactive. So when you're there in a shopping mall or at the center or wherever it is that you're going, get them involved in the adventure. It makes it fun for you and your child. So you might say to them, look, I want you to find the carrots, or what colors are carrots, and like play a game, play I Spy, you know, get them distracted, get them involved, get them playing games, make it a playful experience. It doesn't have to be tiring, you don't have to do it for the whole journey, but get them involved. And what you can also do is take a break in between your errands. So if you know it's going to take about 2 to 3 hours to do everything, maybe take a pause in between and go to the park. Let them run around a little bit. So they come out of the buggy and they've got space to run around, play with their friends, and then they continue on with the errands and then go home. So it's really about tailoring to their needs as well as yours. You're able to get what you need to get done, and you're able to make sure that they're having fun, so that you're minimizing those trigger points. Because what we want to do with these tips is minimize those tantrum trigger points, which is boredom, which is restriction, which is not being sure of what's happening next. That's what can trigger children to have temper tantrums. All right, so you see how there's a nice flow going on here. Okay, so we've literally just did a little bit of role play at home, and now we're getting them involved in the adventure when it's actually happening, when we're out and about. The next thing I want you to do, which is tip number 4, is to set expectations. I need to remember what tip I'm on, but set expectations. So allow there to be limits, but obviously don't make it so it's like they're so restricted and they're gonna feel like there's nothing that they can do, and that could be a trigger point. But you want to let them know that, look, we're gonna go shopping, this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna behave, we're gonna be calm, we're gonna have fun, and if you want something, let me know calm. Like, just kind of set the pace, set the tone, and let them know that there are some limits, and that if we are going to the park, we're only gonna play for 5 minutes, and just remind them, keep reminding them, because our children will forget, right? And then they'll have that tantrum because they want to stay in the park for longer. But just keep reminding them as you're going to where you need to go, remind them of what the expectations are, remind them of what you're doing, remind them and get them excited about the games that you're going to be playing. And that's just going to keep them on board, and keep them on board. All right? And so tip number 5 is to bring snacks. You want to become a Mary Poppins. All right? Mary Poppins. You want to bring snacks with you. Bring some of your favorite snacks. Those are like the best remedies that you can have in your bag when your child is showing signs of possible tantrums. So bring some snacks that's ready for the beginning of the trip, the middle of the trip, and towards the end of the trip if possible. Healthy snacks where possible. Give them some fruit, give them some, you can get some vegetable crisps, you can get some purees, do whatever is necessary. Pack them a little packed lunch. Make sure that they're well fed, because sometimes children tend to have tantrums because they're hungry. So definitely become Mary Poppins and bring those with you. Hey, bring along some toys as well, a couple of their favorite toys that you don't mind them playing with whilst they're outside, to keep them stimulated, all right, and off the iPad where possible. If you can bring some of their favorite toys and some snacks, you can minimize iPad time. And the next tip, number 6, is to set clear rules with your child. So it's similar to setting expectations. Setting expectations allows you to set the scene. Setting rules allows you to ensure that your child knows what it is they can and cannot do, but you want to make it as fun as possible overall, but you want to ensure that you set some rules. So if anything changes, say for example, you allow them to spend, to get some ice cream. You don't normally get ice cream when you're out and about. You normally maybe do ice cream once a month, but on this occasion you allow them to have some ice cream. Let them know that this is an exception. So you might say, look, I'm letting you have some ice cream for today. We don't normally do ice cream when we're out doing shopping, but just for today, because it's a bit of a long trip, I'll let you have some ice cream. Just let them understand that this is a one-off, because otherwise it can fall into the habit of them expecting an ice cream every time you go out. So make sure you let them know what the rules are, that this is an exception to the rule. Essentially, that's what you want to do. And tip number 7 is, if a tantrum erupts despite following these steps above, don't worry, just breathe, and I want you to become Miss Honey. Oh yes, Miss Honey from Matilda. You know that teacher? If you haven't watched Matilda, watch Matilda, it's a good film. But there's a beautiful, amazing, lovely, patient, kind character in Matilda called Miss Honey, and she is super sweet and patient with her students, and that's who I want you to think about when your child is having a tantrum. I want you to show some empathy. Show some patience towards yourself and some empathy towards your child, because at this day and age, it is very normal for them to have tantrums. They're dealing with what I call adult emotions in a small body, so you need to just show them how to master those emotions and express their emotions more appropriately. And the best way to do that is for you to stay calm, because if you start to show any anger or frustration, that's going to get them even more fired up. It's almost like throwing water at a flame of fire. It's just going to go up and in flames. It's just going to become so much worse and so much more dangerous, right? So you want to be able to just be that peacemaker, be that space for them to express themselves and get them down to your level. You don't want to join their level, you want to get them down to your level of calm and control. But they're going to learn that best by you staying calm as much as you can. Even if that means you have to leave the room for a second and leave your child with a loved one or a friend, just for a second, just to get yourself to calm down if you feel like you're getting too fired up. Or if it means you need to take some deep breaths. Or a lovely tool that I like to use is to blow some bubbles. Because when you blow bubbles, it's difficult to stay angry or anxious or, uptight. Because you have to literally concentrate on blowing the bubble, and it encourages you to breathe deeply, because you have to go and then your child's like, oh, bubbles, so it gets them distracted away and helps them to kind of diffuse the temper tantrum and just get themselves back grounded again. And tip number 8, and this is super important, is I want you to ignore the passers-by and ignore the naysayers. Because you will have people that will probably be making faces at you or be looking at you, and you're going to feel like you're being judged. You're probably going to feel a bit anxious or embarrassed. But I want you to remember that you are technically a little piece of dust in their lives. They're literally going to forget about you as soon as they walk past you and their eyes are away from your view. So you need to not worry about them. They are just people who have now forgotten that they were once children and they once had tantrums too. So just don't worry about what people think, and most likely a lot of them are probably looking at you because they actually want to help you, or they have sympathy for you or empathy. We never know what people are actually thinking, but if people are rolling their eyes at you or making comments, I want you to just ignore them. Don't go to their level, don't retaliate, even though it can feel so itching that you want to. Just focus on you and your child, focus on what you really want, which is to calm them down and calm yourself down. And that's the most important thing. When my child has a screaming fit out in public, on the bus or on the tube or just out and about, I always say to myself, I don't care what people think. If my child wants to cry, my child's gonna cry. And that really helps me to stay calm and relaxed and help her to get back into a state of happiness and calmness, rather than worrying about what people think and feeling agitated and making the situation worse. So you definitely want to do that. Alright, so those are the essential effective tips I want you to use to avoid temper tantrums. You can use them to preempt them, and it's easy and super easy. You can use them right now. Let me know if there's any other tips that I've missed or any other tips that you use. Leave them in the comments below. Let me know how you get on. Click yes in the comments if you deal with temper tantrums a bit too often and how you deal with them. Like, definitely share them. We want to be able to help each other, because you know what, it takes a village to raise a baby, right? So definitely follow those tips and let me know how you get on. Let me know if you've got any questions and I'll answer all of them. And I just want to leave you with this. Parenting isn't easy, but parenting doesn't have to be hard and depressing and difficult all the time or at all. We just need to work on our mindset. We just need to get ourselves grounded and work on ourselves. And the more that we can do that, the more that we can enjoy our parenting journey. Because at the end of the day, we've got to raise them for the next few years, right? So it can be an enjoyable experience. And I want you to take on these tips seriously, because temper tantrums are part of their growth process. And I want you to remind you that it's just a season. It's a phase. They will grow out of it. Then they'll become teenagers and they'll have different type of tantrums, but we'll have our toolbox ready to be able to manage all of that, right? Just like us, we get emotional, we get moody. I know I definitely do. My husband gets a good hit of it every so often. I have my little temper tantrums myself. We're all human. Just allow your child that space to express themselves and show them how to gain more emotional intelligence, how to control their emotions better. And the beauty of it is that the more you do that, the more you can even help yourself to master your emotions also. So it's very reciprocal, if I'm saying that right. It's a great exchange of learning where you can learn to master yourself and your emotions through your child and vice versa. So it's a beautiful, beautiful journey, and just know that we're in this together. And I want you to also explore the other videos that I've got on here. So there's one video that I did about how we can stop our fears rubbing off on our children. I know that a lot of us parents, we worry about that our fears and anxieties will be rubbed off on our children, because they copy us, right? They don't copy so much what we say, but they copy what we do. So I know that's one of our worries. So I've got a video on that and how to preempt that, how to stop that from happening. I've also got, I want you to check out a video on why dolls are very beneficial for boys to play with. That's a super one. And I also want you to check out how to deal with separation anxiety with your children. So when your children are experiencing, a spurge of separation anxiety, maybe if you're leaving them at the creche for the first time, or you literally go into the bathroom and they're getting all anxious, like that happens, and it's really, really common, very normal. But how do we manage that to make it a more seamless experience for both you and your child, to help them to help support them through that phase? So definitely check out those videos, and I will see you next week for more.